All right, boys, I wasn't going to put this on video, but I figured I'd give you guys an update on what I'm doing with the car. So basically right now I'm working on getting the motor mounts out of the car so that I can put these in. They're just, I think Polyurethane, yeah. So they're just polyurethane motor mounts, those ones. You just put them in the clamshells and then hook them up like the other stock motor mounts are. I've done this once before on my other car, and I said I would never do it again because it's such a pain. But I'm doing it again because I need it. My motor mounts are in pretty bad shape, so I got those. And then I got the torque arm bushing from Energy Suspension. It's also polyurethane. I'm replacing the center console because this piece was missing. This is my polyurethane transmission mount from Polyurethane, and it is also a lifesaver. I've done this before on my other Camaro too. And then last but not least, I got my MGW short throw shifter. You just kind of put that rod in there and then hook it up to the car, and it works really well. Sorry, my dog's freaking out over there. So far I've taken the steering rack off and the alternators off of the car, but it's still hanging there by the wires because I didn't want to take all the plugs and stuff out. So to do the motor mounts, you got to take off the steering knuckle and the alternator, get it out of the way. And then there's like some heat shields and stuff, and I'm not recording that because it's gonna take me a couple hours to get everything off. So once I get the motor mounts off and I have to drill out the rivets and everything to get the new polyurethane ones in, then I will kind of bring the camera back out and show you guys how to put them all back together, and then I'll put them in the car, probably off camera, and then I will do the short throw shifter on camera, and I will do the transmission mount maybe on camera, but for sure the short throw shifter and the center console. So I'm gonna get back to it, and then I'll update you guys when I'm done. All right, guys, so this is basically what comes out of your motor mounts, or this is the motor mount, but so you got the clamshell here, and there's this little like rubber piece in here, which mine's like not bonded to the metal anymore, so it definitely needed to change. But this actually goes up to the block like so, and it like bolts in, and then this column over here bolts onto the K member with these 4 bolts here, and you basically slide them in together and they just sit in there. And then there's like one, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Good enough. And then there's one giant bolt that goes through the side and holds them together. So the only thing holding them together is that rubber piece in there with the little bolt hole. And obviously, if that's loose like it is, see how much I can move that? Then it won't hold the motor still. So when you put these in here and they hold tight to that clamshell, there is no movement. So your motor, I mean, there's obviously a little bit, so your motor is basically going to move a lot less, and then over time it'll wear less. So I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, that's what I forgot to show you guys. You also, to open this up, you basically, there's 2 like rivets here, and then there's like 3, like, I don't know what those are called, but they're basically just a different type of rivet. And you drill out those 3 holes. You do this one too, just cause. And then they bolt together. But basically when you drill those out, you take the top part off, you take that rubber piece out, and then you actually have to like press it on to this one because it's a really tight fit. I mean, you could just use a C-clamp. It's not like you need an actual press, but yeah, that's how I'm gonna do it, and I will show you guys that process once I get a drill bit for those. I'm pretty sure it's a 3/8, and then I'm also gonna try to like clean these up a little bit so they're not terrible. But yeah, so I will get back to you guys when I'm ready to do all that. guys, so this one's actually fits a lot better than the last one I did, but as you can see, it's not all the way seated in there, and it won't go down in there because it's so tight. So what I do is I'll put it up against the back one and just put a clamp on it and then just squeeze it together. Last time I used a C-clamp and it worked really well. I don't know how well this one's gonna work, but it should work well. Yeah, just get it on there. And then just go from different angles so that way it kind of squeezes it all in there. Because if you just do one side, it's obviously just gonna get like locked up. So it goes a little bit slower, but at least it works. So just like that, just keep getting each side. And then that's probably close enough now to where I will actually just use the bolts to clamp it all the way down in there when I put them in there. I had a little bit of trouble drilling out the other motor mount. The riveted side, the drill bit kind of walked off the rivets. I'll show you that real quick. So if you can see that, let's make sure you can see that. There's a smaller hole up here, and then you can tell where the drill bit went in. And what I did is once I drilled it through, since the rivets were still in there, I just kind of hammered them out that way, and they came out just fine. And then I'll just send the bolts through where I drilled that, and they're close enough to where they shouldn't hurt anything. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'll show you guys the finished product. So this part you would think would be like common sense, but a lot of times it's not. You want to make sure that your heads go on the right side of the motor mount, because if they don't, you'll hit the engine block with like the long side of the bolt, and then you'll have a lot of problems. So just keep that in mind if you're going to do this. All right, guys, just like that, the clamshell is, I mean, it's not bolted down. When I bolt that down, it'll obviously squeeze it together to where that's tight in there, but that is the polyurethane mount inside the stock clamshell. And then the instructions will tell you kind of which way to put the mount. You can tell by the tabs, and then it'll tell you what to drill out and where to put the bolts. But basically that just sits up against the engine block, and it goes into the column kind of like that. And then there's a bolt that goes through the middle that holds them together. So this will mount to the block, this will mount to the K-member, and then the bolt that goes through it will hold them together. So I don't know if you guys can see that when I was showing you. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those ones up after I get the other one done, and then I'll be done with those and they're ready to go back in. All right, guys, just so you can kind of see how the motor mount works when it's fully tightened, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it all down so that you can see it. And you obviously want these tight because, you know, they're motor mounts, but they do have the nylon locker nuts on them, so they're not going anywhere. All right, guys, just like that, she's in there. They're not going anywhere. See, they're completely seamed tight now. That one doesn't look like it, but it's tight, trust me. So I'm gonna do that to the other side, get them put back in, and then we're gonna do the trans mount, probably off camera, and then I will show you guys when I do the shifter and the center console. So that'll be probably the same video. You guys will probably see that in this video. If not, it'll be the next one. All right, guys, so I just came out to do the transmission mount real quick, but I got the motor mounts done, so I figured I would show you what I did. Here's a leaf. So you guys can kind of see the final product. This was a really big pain in the ass. So the passenger side, there it is. The bolts going through the polyurethane, clamshells all hooked to the engine block, columns hooked to the actual K-member down here. That's what it should look like. The passenger side is actually easier because like this all is clear. There's nothing in the way if you don't have AC. If you have AC, there's a pulley right there that you have to take off. And I think you have to move the compressor up there too, but I don't have that. So on the driver's side, it's a lot harder. You got to take the alternator out of the way, take your belt off and all that. And then you also have to take the steering knuckle off. I don't know if you guys can kind of see it up there. See like the little red, that's your polyurethane motor mount. I'll show you from the top so you can see what the steering knuckle is. So there's your steering knuckle right there. What I got my finger on. You have to take that off. And that is not too bad. It just goes down right in front of the motor mount, so you gotta take it off. But yeah, the motor mounts are in. Now I just gotta do the transmission mount and then the torque arm bushing, and the motor mount itself fixed my problems. The shifter's no longer shaking, but I'm gonna do the trans mount too, just because. And then after that, I'm gonna do the center console on the inside and put the new MGW shifter in there. So you guys will probably see that in another video. I'm probably gonna end this one out here. I don't know how long it's gonna be. If it's not long enough, I'll put the transmission mount in it, but that's like literally, you just remove 4 bolts and put it back in. So yeah, car runs, motor doesn't move, it's in good shape now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the trans mount, and then probably edit this video probably tomorrow or something, and then put it out there so you guys can see it. And then I'll have another one coming pretty shortly on the shifter and the center console, and I'm gonna have a before and after on the shifter too, so you guys can see just how much of the throw it like kind of gets rid of. But yeah, that's it for this video, so I will see you guys hopefully within the week. See ya.